Okay, so today we're going to discuss kind of something that we all know, but it's like it needs to be talked about. How Cynthia Williams turned the magic market on its head and just screwed up a lot of things. Let's discuss. Okay, now that she's gone, we can discuss the whole after effects of Cynthia Williams. This lady came in as a CEO. I'm going to do things. I'm going to make money for Wizards. And she did make money, but she also screwed up a lot of things. You know, anybody can do a fire sale and a tear down of something and sell the pieces to make money. But you've destroyed the thing that was actually, making money. Like killing the golden goose. You got maybe an extra egg or two, but now you got a dead goose and you didn't figure out how to, you know what I mean? So that's kind of like what Cynthia Williams did. She came in right after this experiment was, collector boosters. This was technically the first one. This was an experiment. These were $1,000 at one point. Now they're $150 to $225. But really the era that she had an effect on is the collector booster era. 2019, actually start of 2020. This came out at the very end of 2019. So what did she do? One, she printed stuff like crazy. Well, she made them print stuff like crazy. As the CEO, she directed, the printers to print more than they've ever printed in terms of, the sets that were affected are like Pharaohs up to Kaldheim, Strixhaven. Some of this stuff was printed a lot. Modern Horizons, Dominaria remastered, Even the collector boxes, which were supposed to be rare, she printed a lot of. Like when they were first talking, when Rosewater was first talking about booster fun, I remember that speech. And a lot of it was cool. They were talking about how collector boxes, and they still are one print and done. There are no reprints of collector boxes. There are waves of withheld product, okay? And a lot of that was released on Amazon during Cynthia Williams' time, undercutting everyone else and making Wizards more money, but dumping a ton onto the market. So at first, during Booster Fun, Mark Rosewater talked about new treatments. And I had been, saying this for years. Why aren't there new treatments? They've gone overboard and made it crazy. But, new treatments. It was interesting to see. We saw it in Pokemon. We saw it in Yu-Gi-Oh! We saw it in every other game except for Magic the Gathering. But, look at Magic's history. Even foils were pushed back upon when they were new, right? And that was the only treatment, except for a few like JSS promo cards and stuff like that, that we had for years. So I was excited about this. And when he said that, Mark Rosewater, in the, the Booster Fun speech, when he said that collector packs and boxes were limited and there wouldn't be any reprints, I'm like, holy crap. This now is a product that will have value into the future. It will hold value. It'll raise in value, so on and so forth, right? But because of the way that after Cynthia Williams took over shortly after that, because of the way she did it, she suppressed the prices for now so that they couldn't move how they normally would have moved in a regular market, okay? So let's talk about something else she did. M30 edition of beta cards reprinting the reserve list in a non-playable form. That wasn't a good idea. Nobody was happy about that. This was like, and then they had the fireside chat a couple of months later where she doubled down on everything and basically was trying to say that it was stuff to sell and this and that, and she doesn't understand. She basically said without saying that she doesn't understand collectibles and she's just trying to make money. That was the gist of the fireside chat. So now we had this whole crazy amount of product. Is the reserve list going to be reprinted? And then confirmation of all your doubts all at once, and this led to that huge market decline. During this time, collector boxes couldn't move like they should have been moving, and vintage stuff just took a dive because everybody thought it was going to be reprinted. And now that she's gone, we can look at the effects. Now that she's gone, people understand that collector boxes and collector packs are actually rare. There isn't a ton of supply out there. So what happens when there's not a lot of supply but still demand? Prices are going up. Vintage still kind of hasn't recovered, but it hit its bottom. We're not seeing price erosion much as we were over the past year and a half. So a year and a half of like dead and negative markets, it was a time to buy. But one of the things that is like a result is that the vintage market is still in the crapper. But the new collector boxes have risen up more than they should have. Whatever should means at this point. But during that time, I wasn't buying. You know, she messed with my horse sense. All this stuff happening, it affected my choices when it came to Magic the Gathering and how I feel about Magic the Gathering. Hey, look, man, I went through a year and a half of depressed market. This channel suffered. And now that vintage is suppressed, this channel's still suffering. So, you know, Williams's lasting effect has been pretty negative in terms of most people's interaction with Magic the Gathering. At this point, I'm trying to get back my horse sense about Magic, my gut feeling. I understand that it's correct. You know, back in the day, I would make choices about what I was buying, what I was putting my money into, or what I was grading, and you'd always see it tick up. I was proven correct by the results. At this point, you know, for a while there, I was just doubting myself. And so at this point, I'm just trying to get back get my groove back, right? Silliness. But yeah, Cynthia Williams' effect will last for a while, and it's going to be interesting to see when and what causes the vintage market to come back. Actually, pre-modern format is kind of bringing some of the drive, the push back to the vintage market, the buyouts. When will that come back, right? We haven't had a good buyout in a while, and you know, these were coming pretty consistently since 2017. We'd see buyouts here and there in waves. Then we saw that huge wave that Cynthia just killed. But yeah, it's how did she affect your interaction with Magic the Gathering? I know that we have more sets than ever, so clearly people can't buy as much of every individual set. Do you believe that collector boxes will continue to go up? Do you believe that the vintage market is going to stay suppressed? I'm pretty curious. Like, do you doubt yourself now like I do here and there? Like, did she mess with your sense of Magic and where it's going and what you believe it's going to do? I'm pretty curious because I know how it affected me. And, you know, there's some things that I would have went, you know, back in the day, I would have went deep on Fallout. I love Fallout. It's like one of my favorite series. I bought 2 boxes at $225 each, which is like a crazy steal. If this was back in the day, I probably would have bought a case, you know, sub case or 10 boxes, right? But it was during the peak of the dip. So it's like the lowest point in the dip. The bottom of the curve was Fallout and Lord of the Rings special edition. Same thing. Come on, Lord of the Rings. What's the matter with me? It was just during the worst time in Magic, so I didn't buy it like I should have. I have 1 box and a couple of blisters and Wilds of Eldraine. Same thing. I knew how good Eldraine was. And I knew how good the reprint set was. And I was interested in the confetti, and I liked how rare they were. But I didn't go heavy into it. Why? I didn't open a lot. Why? Because that was literally right before the bottom, before things started bouncing back up. She really messed with my horse sense about Magic. And moving forward, I'm going to rely on that again. Missed a year of good products, and I could have, you know, made some easy money just breaking some cool stuff with, you know, patrons or whatever. Missed out on that. What are you going to do? Now it's time to move forward and forget about Cynthia. She's gone. Bye-bye. The witch is dead. Now we can move on and get back to business as usual. Hopefully, the markets will become more sensical. Hopefully, things will start to return to where, you know, things make sense, right? Anyway, let me know what you think. I'm curious to see how she and her decisions affected people in this market as well. Yeah. Take care. Have a lovely day. Remember to like and subscribe. If you're going to buy any cards, use my TCG Player affiliate link, please. It is free and it helps out a lot. Otherwise, check out my Patreon for old school breaks. Take care. Have a lovely day again. I'll catch you soon. Peace.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do?
Maybe we could build a fire, sing a couple of songs, huh? Why don't we try that?